Tika.
Darren,
Tadi akak nampak ke yang saya share screen tu?
nampak tadi? Kejap.
Okey, okey. Sebab in case kalau I tak boleh nak present dia punya screen tu, I akan tolong lah.
Boleh. Tapi akak dah buat Darren as co-host dah.
Boleh tanya apa fungsi co-host tu?
So nanti kalau akak terkeluar ke apa, so nanti Darren akan take over lah. Tapi rasa
Okey.
kalau line slow lah.
Okey.
Alright.
Akak main lagu kak? Hai,
Hai, boleh dengar ke?
boleh. I think like we will start at around 3 p.m. or possibly paling lambat pun 3:05 p.m. lah. We'll just allow kalau ada sesiapa yang terlambat ke apa, we'll give them some time to enter the call lah to hear your sharing. A very good evening to everyone present. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us today. Welcome to our high PG Mate session for the month of September. My name is Darren Shaqeel Sasikaran. I will be the quote-unquote moderator for this session. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker, our sharer for today's session, Miss Nur Ain Binti Muhammad Asri.
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Hi, Ain. How are you, Ain?
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah.
So, honest question here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you for today?
Uh, 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 Indescribable. I don't know how to describe it. Okay.
No worries. Again, this is a very chill session. So no stress, no worries. Just go at your own pace and so on. So yeah, I think without delaying anymore, I'll pass the floor over to you, Ain.
Okay, all right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon and evening to all the audience here. Thank you, Darren, for being a moderator for today, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank PPSK Postgrad Club, Journal Club, because conducting this session, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a speaker for today. So as Darren stated before, my name is Nur Ain Binti Muhammad Asri, and for your information, I am the GRA for the project tuberculosis vaccine development. My supervisor is Associated Prof. Dr. Rapea. So in that grant, me and my partner, which is Kim Min Juan, will be together in developing this new vaccine for tuberculosis. So I am in my first semester for my postgraduate study. Hence, I have very superficial information and also knowledge. And at the end of my session today, if you guys have any questions that I cannot commit or I cannot answer, please let me know so that I can cater you after this session. Okay. So my topic for today is mucosal vaccine. And for
Ain,
today, I will, yes, hello.
so sorry, Ain.
Uh-huh.
Is it possible for you to switch on your camera so that
Oh,
we will
okay,
be able
okay,
to see
okay.
you? So
Hi.
sorry. Okay. Ni lah
Okay.
muka Ain. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so all right, for today, I will give you a very brief insights on the concept of mucosal vaccine and some of the alternatives that was made by USM. Okay, all right. So in today's agenda, I will introduce myself a little bit, and also the main agenda for today is I will introduce you the concept of mucosal vaccinology and some of the alternatives that was made by the USM and the conclusion for today's agenda. Okay, for self-introduction, that is my family picture. I think this is during Hari Raya 2021. Okay, so I am the eldest among the 4 siblings. Okay, as you can see, so I have a loving parent, and I have one sister and two little brother, but not so little anymore this year because my third siblings, which is my first brother, is Form 3, and my youngest brother is Standard 6. Okay, so I live in Machang, Kelantan, because my father was originated from there, but my mom is from Kedah. So I sikit-sikit know the logat in Kelantan and also in Kedah. Alright. Okay. So next, this is my start with SPM first. So I took my SPM at SMK Zainab 1. If you are from Kelantan in Kota Baru, you will be familiar with my school. It's an all-girls school in Teliput. I think it is behind Billion. You can just walk from Billion to my school. Okay, so it is the all-girls school. I am in the batch 2014 SPM. And after taking SPM there, I went straight to the foundation in science, Asasi Science UiTM, from 2015 until 2016. And then after that, I went to the UNIZA, Terengganu, for my bachelor degree in biomedical sciences. So during my time at Terengganu, I have no family or relatives in Terengganu. So I explore a lot of new culture, new dishes, new food, and also new behavior of Terengganu people, and it's super interesting. And okay, after I finished my FYP in the midst of pandemic at that time, thankfully I got to finish my FYP really like 1 day earlier before the total lockdown by Malaysia. So alhamdulillah, I managed to save myself big time that time. So after graduating from the UNIZA, I went to USM for the first time to take my master in biomedicine. And this picture is this year. I think it's around May. Okay. So yeah, and currently after I finished my master, I got the opportunity to go for the interview for this project, and alhamdulillah, I am selected for this project, and I am looking forward to see what's it is going to be in the next stage of this postgraduate journey in my life. So recently I just got married with my significant other that I have known since I was 14 years old, because he was my best friend. He is my best friend still. And currently I am residing in Malur KB with him in this new place and this new home. And I'm not residing in Machang anymore. I am residing in KB from now on. Okay. So that's about it. A brief introduction for myself. So I hope that after this we can get to know each other well, so that we can actually gain from each other, and we can share and change our knowledge with each other. Okay, so this is the main part for today, which is the concept of mucosal vaccinology. Okay, to start with, mucosal tissues, which includes nasal around your nose, oral around your mouth, ocular around your eyes, rectal and vaginal is the genital organ. And these mucosal tissues cover like a very large surface of the body. So that is why there is many infections that are initiated at these mucosal sites. And it is critical to develop a strategies to neutralize the infectious agent at these surfaces. So mucosal vaccination means the administration of the vaccines at one or more mucosal sites. That includes nasal, oral, ocular, rectal. Okay. So we immunize this location to induce the immune response at also this location or other location, other mucosal site, or systemically means the whole body. Okay. So these are the burden of mucosal diseases that in needs of mucosal vaccinations. For example, in respiratory infection, there is still no approved vaccine for respiratory syncytial virus. And although there is like suboptimal vaccine coverage for Mycobacterium tuberculosis, SARS-CoV-2, COVID, pneumonia, pertussis, and influenza, there is still many like million deaths and infections happens around the year. And there is still no approved vaccine for enteric and also sexual transmitted disease. So strategies for mucosal vaccination have the potential to fill this gap in the market by offering more potent mucosal immunity. And because like the pathogenesis of the infectious disease mainly revolve around the mucosal sites, the mucosal tissues are very frequent to have tumor. For example, colorectal cancer, stomach cancer, lung cancer, and by mucosal vaccination, we hope that we can also curb these kind of diseases. So this is like 9 licensed mucosal vaccines, and 8 of them is by oral vaccination, which is through mulut. Okay, so 8 oral vaccines are currently licensed against cholera, salmonella, poliovirus, and rotavirus. And only influenza vaccines that remain the sole licensed intranasal vaccine, which is through the nose. Okay, so live attenuated and it activated vaccines have proved the most successful platforms for mucosal vaccine design. So based on this evidence, they have been proved that the mucosal route can be promising. Okay. So why do the researchers are going into the mucosal vaccinology strategy? It is because mucosal immune system possesses numerous functions, and the most important one is it protects the mucous membranes from invasion and colonization of potentially harmful pathogens. And it prevents the uptake of foreign macromolecules and proteins derived from food sources or airborne matter. For example, if you can see this figure, when there is antigen subunit or the vaccine particle, okay, the vaccine particle reach here the Peyer's patch. Okay, the Peyer's patch is in your stomach. Okay, when you eat, because the pills, the vaccine containing the vaccine, it will go into your stomach, and in your stomach they have the Peyer's patches. Okay, they have the Peyer's patch. Okay, this figures is for oral vaccination. Okay, so they have Peyer's patches. So the Peyer's patches containing M cells. So these M cells will take up the antigens from the vaccine and present it to and process it to dendritic cells, and dendritic cells will present the antigen, and the local sensitization of IgA B cells from the dendritic cells will happen, and it will go into your lymphatic system. It will migrate into your mesenteric lymph nodes and also go into your systemic circulation. So in your systemic circulation, the cells will migrate to the common mucosal sites, and this is when the IgA B cells will be very specific to the antigen that is induced in the various pages. So when it circulate to the mucosal sites, which is the effector sites, it will become very specific to the antigen beforehand. So to increase the mucosal immunity, it is very beneficial to target the Peyer's patches rather than spleen due to the increased response by the disease. That is why out of the 9 licensed mucosal vaccines, 8 of them is a true oral vaccination, because when we target the Peyer's patches, it becomes like more powerful to induce the immune response. So next, secretory IgA. So secretory IgA is the main hero in this mucosal vaccinology. It is because it is considered as a hallmark antibody whether or not your mucosal immune response is mediated. Okay, so secretory IgA is resistant to protease, which means it is hard to degrade. Okay, and it functions by neutralizing pathogens, toxins, and also allergens, and it also has anti-inflammatory functions. Okay, so why mucosal vaccination? Okay, why mucosal vaccination? This is because systemically delivered vaccines are very poor inducers of secretory IgA at mucosal sites, and that is why there is still lots of infections and death happening around the mucosal diseases. And this is because upregulation of mucosal homing receptors on cognate B cells is efficient only when there is priming occurs in inductive sites, which means if there is like priming occurs at the Peyer's patches, for example, because Peyer's patches is the inductive sites, only that the B cells will produce the antibody that is specific to that antigen that was presented in the inductive sites. Okay, so the advantages of mucosal vaccinology includes the early control of infection. Okay, early control of infection is actually the general advantages of vaccine, because vaccine is for prevention. Okay, and one of the most interesting advantages of why we use mucosal vaccinology, because it is effective control of non-invasive infections. Okay, non-invasive infections is very important to influence people to take up the vaccine, because most of the vaccine hesitancy occurs because of people takut jarum. Okay, so when you found the way to make it less painful and also less kesalahan by the staff to inject the vaccine into your body, it is very, very useful. And also we can cut costs by doing the mucosal vaccinology, because it obviates the need for injection and you can get the widespread response. So widespread response, which means even the low income country also can get it, because okay, low income country, they have like low resource, which means they have a really little money to pay for the staff to inject. Okay, to pay for the skills staff to inject the vaccine into your body. So in that kind of country, the oral vaccination is very useful because they can just take up the pill. Okay, so some of the limitations is, in practice, it is very difficult to induce an effective IgA response, because like when you take up for example, when you take up the pills, the vaccine pills orally, it will be like it will have the reaction within your saliva and all before it is going to the Peyer's patches. And that is why it needs a very powerful delivery system into your gut and antigen instability at mucosal sites, because mucosal sites have like very wide range of normal flora. So that is why sometimes it becomes like instability at that site. But anyhow, as you can see in this figure, the advantages outweighs the limitations. So in my opinion, mucosal vaccine is an promising alternative to combat the mucosal diseases. Okay, so next, okay, what we do in USM. In my project, me and Mission, my partner, we are responsible for the tuberculosis vaccine development, which is we want to take up these mucosal vaccination techniques into the tuberculosis vaccination, because what we have already knew before, the tuberculosis use BCG vaccination, but now we want to add up or replace or change the vaccination method to the mucosal immunity, to the mucosal vaccine, because even though like BCG is very stable, still there is like millions of infections and millions of deaths happen around the world. Okay, so what do we do in USM is that we take up like two genetic construct, which is C1 alpha until C3 alpha. So C1 alpha until C3 alpha is actually the heavy chain of IgA. Okay, like the of IgA. Wait, I show you this one. C1, C2, C3. Okay, C1, C2, C3. We construct that part of IgA, we attach it with the TB multi-epitopes. TB multi-epitopes, we derive it from the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the infectious one. We take up like the most potent antigen subunits. We attach it with the heavy chain of IgA. And then the second construct is IgA secretory piece and J chain. So IgA secretory piece and J chain is this one, like the urat one. And also the bridge here. Okay. Okay, the urat and the bridge is very important for the delivery process, because this is what stabilize the IgA, so that IgA can move from your oral cavity into your gut. So secretory piece and J chain is responsible for that. So that is why we want to have like this two genetic construct. Okay, and then we transpact it, and then we take the end product. Okay, so this is the first concept in our study. So the next interesting concept is that we transduce it into the mammary glands of the goat. Why goat? Why goat is that because goat has been proved to express the recombinant protein very well. Usually, like using goat as bioreactor can produce the protein that is fully functional, well glycosylated, okay? And also, goat milks have very abundant IgA itself. So we want to take that advantage to use the goat milks as the vaccine candidate. And then we milk the goat. Okay, we milk the goat, we take up the milk, and then we isolate and purify it and take the protein and characterize it. And we orally immunize into the mice. So what we choose oral immunization because oral immunization give many benefits compared to other mucosal routes such as nasal. Okay, but actually we can also use nasal, but for now we are selecting oral as the main approach. And then we will do the immunogenicity studies. Okay, so this is the general alternative of what is proposed by by my group. Okay, so I haven't started any lab work yet. But inshallah, I will start soon, hopefully. Okay. So last but not least, we are currently in the midst of the revolution in tuberculosis vaccine research and development. So there's a lot of mucosal diseases, but as I mentioned before, in my study, I use tuberculosis. Okay, so in the conclusion, okay, before that, this is the figure of the vaccine candidate. As you can see, the red one is the antigen that we want to attach in the blue one. Like the blue one is the IgA heavy chain. So the red and the blue is the first construct of the gene that we need to design. And the orange one and the purple one is the secondary component and J chain. So hopefully we can produce this kind of protein as end product before we can orally immunize the mice. Okay. So although mucosal vaccine have not yet experienced advance in injectable vaccine method, this is likely to change soon. So advance in our understanding of mucosal protective immunity offer hope that may this novel mucosal vaccine for infectious disease can be actually
Hi, I'm.
Hi.
Okay, so okay, can hear me. Sorry, I was talking while I was on mute tadi.
Okay.
Uh, all I can say right now is wow. Throughout your whole sharing, wow. It's a very interesting topic that you're intending to do. Because I'll be honest here, mucosal vaccinology, this was my first time hearing it. For me, the reason why I say that's because typically when you talk about vaccines is that it is either administered intradermal, intramuscular. So I have not heard about mucosal vaccinology until your presentation here today. And knowing that there are 8 licensed vaccines kan yang are administered through mucosal region. So wow. It's a very good sharing actually. Thank you so much. I open the floor to for any questions that our listeners, our viewers would like to present to Ain. You can either turn on your mic and ask Ain personally straight away, or if you would like to input any of your questions in the chat box, I will be happy to ask Ain in this session as well lah. So if any of you have any questions, do ask while we have Ain with us here at the moment. While we wait for anyone who has any questions, Ain, can I ask you a question?
Okay, okay.
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 Don't be scared. Simple je. You talked about mucosal vaccinology lah. Would it be fair to assume that mucosal vaccinology will be very good in providing protection against infections that are transmitted through droplets and so on?
Yes. Yes. Lagi-lagi if that droplets is being transmitted into your mucosal sites, which is through your nose, through your oral, or even genital. So all of that will have a very good exposure to include mucosal vaccination as one of the alternative.
Okay, so that was like a part one of my question. Yeah, so we enter into the part two of my question, which is as we all know that for the past 2 years lah, we were struck with a pandemic, COVID-19 and so on. And as we know that COVID-19, the virus SARS-CoV-2, they are transmitted through droplets. And the vaccines that we have at the moment, those that are widely used or those that have been approved, are typically administered through intramuscular and so on. So my question is, do you believe that there is a view that a COVID-19 vaccine could be made and administered mucosally, or do you have a understanding that there are COVID-19 vaccines at the moment that are being administered mucosally?
Okay, Darren. So in my opinion, because like SARS-CoV-2 infection begins in the upper respiratory tract, if I'm not mistaken, upper respiratory tract, it largely affects the respiratory mucosa. So that is why mucosal vaccination is one of the, I can say, promising alternatives to combat these diseases. And if we want to develop a vaccine for COVID-19 to focus on the mucosa, we need to have the idea to increase the IgA level at the mucosal site, which is at the nose, at the nasal, or at the upper respiratory tract, right? So interestingly, like there is one of the approved but not yet licensed approved vaccine called Vaxart, VAXART. It is an oral vaccine. So currently they're in, I think phase two of clinical trial. So it is showing a very good results, and they want to proceed this as one of the alternative for the SARS-CoV-2. And after they study this immune response of this, they can see the increase of the IgA at the mucosal sites of those who has taken the oral vaccine. So that is a good approach and a very good evidence to say that the mucosal vaccination has taken a toll to combat this kind of disease, this COVID-19 disease.
So basically, fair to assume that if this vaccine that is administered orally, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned, or nasally, this will be easier or quicker for the vaccine or your immune response to combat if you're infected and so on lah. So that is a very, very interesting point of view lah, because most that I know of the vaccines that are being approved and used in the market at the moment, typically, it is through injections and so on. While I wait for any questions from our participants here, I have another question, Ain. If you don't mind me asking. Again, it relates back to like the COVID-19 vaccines, kan? So I'm not sure about you, but when I took my COVID-19 vaccination, I did experience side effects lah. Like I was having fever, high body temperature, lethargic, and so on. If a vaccine is administered mucosally, would there be any quote unquote severe side effects, or would these side effects be reduced as compared to intramuscular, intradermal, so on?
Okay, thank you, Darren. That is a very interesting questions. Thank you for reminding me to share this. Okay, so I have read like a paper that say why they want to guna this mucosal vaccination, because they want to induce those who are infants and children, like kids. Okay, especially in the this is in the other disease context, which is HIV. Okay, especially in this HIV negara yang banyak HIV. Okay, so negara yang banyak HIV, the children are very immunocompromised. So bila kita cocok jarum, they will like ada severe reaction tau. Cocok jarum, ada severe reaction when we cocok jarum to the infants. So after they give them like the oral tablet or suspension, that side effects, especially for the cucuk jarum part, is no longer there lah. So the side effects such as lethargic and demam, fever, I believe that if you experience that, that means that your vaccine is working well. But if you use mucosal vaccine, the side effects because of the intravenously intravenously cocok can be lessened out. Okay, so that is my point, because that is my point, and that is why they want to, like in tuberculosis also, they want to push the mucosal vaccine in tuberculosis, because like most infants and children also experience the tuberculosis, and masa kecil-kecil kan diorang ambil BCG, because BCG can protect daripada tuberculosis, but BCG guna jarum. So adalah yang bengkak, yang sakit tangan tak boleh gerak. So they want to lessen this out by mucosal vaccination. Okay, so I believe that will be like somehow also the same as the COVID-19. Okay, if that answers your question.
Yeah. So I mean, I get your point, right, Kan? So like if you're injecting something, obviously it will be painful. Some do have experienced pain. If you can quote unquote accommodate to the pain, then you're fine. But if people who are afraid of needles, you mentioned this in your talk as well, you're sharing that vaccines that are administered mucosally, you reduce this kind of bad experience that may occur to receivers. So it is a less painful option, but at the same time, you are getting that immune response lah. So it is like basically a win-win situation lah for receivers and so on. Okay, so I see in the chat box, we have a question from Wan Shafawani. So she's asking, in layman terms, why mucosal vaccines are better? Makcik-pakcik from countryside have no knowledges on it. So macam mana nak fahamkan mereka?
First of all, layman terms ni apa?
Okay, I feel layman terms, I would define it as ibarat you are okay. So basically, your audience at the moment now are those who have possibly a background in biomedical sciences and so on. But what if someone who doesn't have any knowledge on vaccines, the types of vaccines and so on, why? How would you convince them? How would you let them know why mucosal vaccines are better?
I think it is fair to firstly kita kena be very clear of what are the ingredients that we use in the vaccine. In my study, we use goat milk specifically because, okay, first one, it is act as a bioreactor. Second one, goat milk is halal. Okay, makcik, pakcik have a like why vaccine hesitancy because of the halal. Mostly halal ke? Mostly the agent dalam gene yang diguna dalam vaksin tu halal ke? Ke guna gene pig? Kan mostly I have lagi-lagi kalau baca Facebook, most of the people will discuss on that. So that is why in my project they were using milk, goat milk. Because everyone knows, oh, goat milk, semua orang tahu benda tu halal, insyaAllah. Okay, doesn't have like many like genetic yang pelik-pelik pun. So that is how one of the way we can convince them to take it as maybe as one of the supplement. Okay, supplement like taking up the milk. Okay, taking up the milk. So but as I mentioned before, it is fair untuk kita bagi tahu dalam kandungan susu tu ada apa dan kenapa kita guna susu tu. Okay, contohnya. Okay, sebab rasa macam kalau kita tak, if we do not be clear yang dalam susu tak ada apa, rasa macam it's unethical pula. So in my opinion and relating to my study, I would say that convincing the makcik dan pakcik taking the vaccine can be like taking their supplements. Okay, macam makan supplements and dah tak sakit dah. Makcik dah tak sakit dah. Makcik boleh ambil dia macam minum susu je lah. Something like that. Okay. Could mucosal for HIV vaccines would ideally be administered to patient. I believe mushrooms need to find. Okay, for HIV vaccine, currently tak ada license mucosal vaccines for sexual transmitted disease. Currently tak ada. Yang ada hanyalah respiratory disease saja. And yes, that is very much works need to be done untuk clarify mucosal for HIV vaccine. Sebab kalau mucosal for HIV vaccines, I believe that you need to administer it at the mucosal site dekat dia punya site of infection. So you have to administer it dekat genital punya area. Okay, so that is like perlu take up a lot of understanding and approach to really impose on that kind of vaccination.
So that is also a very interesting question as well regarding the HIV vaccines and so on. So yeah, I feel that I have another question, Ain.
Okay.
I am very much
Kalau I tak boleh jawab, tanya I nanti ya. Nanti I cari dulu, nanti I bagi tahu.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a very basic question because like I mentioned, this is my first time hearing about mucosal vaccines that are administered through mucosal regions. Is it a new way of administering vaccines through mucosal regions?
Nak kata new tu tak new. Dia has been like I think more than a decade punya effort. Okay, like Prof Nur Azmi pernah cakap dia punya teori regarding this mucosal vaccine ni since like I think 20 ataupun 20 plus years ago dah. Dia punya teori, dia punya idea. And currently now baru boleh impose. So I think this way of mucosal vaccination ni dah lama dah dibuat. Tapi baru sekarang nampak dia punya approach to being done. Itu.
Any reason for that delay of implementation?
The reason is because even though mucosal vaccine ni dia bagi promising alternative, still dia punya evidence tak boleh beat the intravenous punya way of vaccination. This could be sebab tak banyak orang bagi pencerahan tentang mucosal vaccine. Tak banyak orang bagi advanced treatment to this mucosal vaccine. Tapi bila sekarang orang dah start funding, orang dah start bagi external grant, biotech company dah start pay attention to this kind of mucosal vaccine, barulah orang nampak yang ni boleh challenge. Ditambah pula dengan intravenous ni banyak orang hesitant to take up the vaccine because orang tak nak sebab dia punya method tu. Jadi dia daripada segi imunologi dia, IV vaksin ni dia memang very very powerful. Tetapi dia taklah maksudnya dia powerful sebagai general sebab dia produce IgG, mostly IgG. Okay, tapi untuk lawan penyakit mucosal, penyakit yang memerlukan IgA, we need mucosal vaccination also. So that is why we can use this approach. Bukan kita nak tukar, kalau boleh nak tukar, tapi kalau tak boleh tukar pun kita tambah, kita add on. So orang yang dah inject BCG, dia ambil juga, dia telan pil juga, so that dia add on to boost the effect. So dia macam second dose lah, macam tu. So the quote is that to change or to add the current vaccine method. Macam tu.
Okay. So do we have any more questions from the floor that anyone would like to ask, inquire to Cik Ain? Because I feel that saya dah banyak drill Ain on this. I have asked a fair bit of questions already. I see that we don't have any new questions from the chat. So I think that we will end off here, Ain. Again, thank you so much for giving us your time to share this knowledge to all of us. I wish you best of luck to you, your group, Min Xuan, in your studies, and I hope that everything goes well for the both of you. Yeah, I guess that is it from myself. Thank you to all our participants as well who have taken their time to join this talk and to hear what I has to say. Yes. FYI, we do have refreshments in both PGA and PGB. Jangan segan, go and have your tea break and so on. Chillax, relax and so on. Again, thank you so much for everyone for participating in this month's High PG Mate. Thank you again, Ain, and congratulations on your marriage. Forgot to say that at the beginning. With that, I would like to end today's session. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.